that was. But I am going to start off with college football and probably take most of that here in this segment because it is a Tuesday, which means that we've got the ratings from this past weekend. And you know what? Initially, I was like, I'm not going to fall into the trap of like milking everything and make it, make it a thing. But you know what? I am going to take over college football rating talk on YouTube. And here we go with some college football. Every Tuesday in this segment, we will bring up the college football ratings and talk about those to what extent it's worth talking about. And looking at this past weekend, surprise, surprise, it was the SEC on top of the rankings, but nothing like the ratings that we saw the week prior in Week 10 when Tennessee and Georgia were drawing 13 million, and that was just an astronomical number. This past weekend, the highest ranked game, 3.57 million. So a drop-off of nearly 10 million people from the highest-watched broadcast the weekend before. It wasn't a different window that previous week with the 13 million between Tennessee and Georgia wasn't that CBS 3:30. But the highest-watched game this past weekend was LSU and Arkansas, 3.57 million viewers on noon ESPN broadcast. I also had Georgia-Mississippi State with 3.34 million viewers. Louisville-Clemson, 1.35. Wisconsin, Iowa, 1.09, and then Stanford, Utah, just a shade over 1 million at 1.04. How could, is that just speaking to what a lackluster weekend on paper this was? Because, man, there were some banger numbers the week before. You had 13 million, 8 million, 4.5 million, 3 million, 3 million, 2 million, 2 million. There's only 5 games that went above 1 million viewers this past weekend. That's wild to me.
Somebody in the chat room, and if you're listening or still watching us, get back on there and tell me why you said you expected the numbers to be down. And I don't remember.
Is it a holiday weekend?
No. Well, Veterans Day was Friday, but I don't think that was it.
But that's 10 million down from your previous week's high. And granted, LSU,
You've also
Arkansas
had some mega games too.
Right. That's what I'm saying is that it's just not. There's not mega games. This was just a sign of the schedule, I think is what I just said a moment ago. It must be because there was a dramatic drop-off. The week prior, you had like 15 games that got 1 million viewers or more, and there were 5, with the highest one being 3.5 million. So massive drop-off. Obviously, LSU's good, but Arkansas is struggling this season, so that makes sense. Mississippi State is, if it was LSU, Georgia, then it probably would have been 10 million, but because they were playing, I guess, not so hot teams, then that played into it. But, yeah, for what it's worth, Kansas State, Baylor, that was a borderline top 10 watched game this weekend, and a blowout at that, 528,000 viewers. And that was nearly top 10. So very low weekend as far as college football eyeballs go in comparison to what we've seen over the past few weeks. But interesting to see that. Also, elsewhere around college